Welcome back. Of course, we're focusing on the education sector in this country, but specifically on the planned teacher strike. To tell us more about what is basically happening in the education sector is the Kenya National Union of Teachers Chairman Wilson Sossion. So far, they've made it very clear that they're demanding an implementation of an agreement signed between the union and the government back in 1997, commonly referred to as Legal Notice 534 of 1997. Welcome to the Palm Breakfast Show.
Yeah, thank you.
So basically, let us understand this. What is the situation like in the education sector? Why this situation of strikes and all that?
Maybe you should tell us the history of that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you. I think if you have been in Kenya, you know very well that since 1997, teachers have gone on strike about 6 times. That really is disturbing to the minds of Kenyans. It's also disturbing to the teachers, not that we like it. But the genesis of all this, number one, is indignant of government to honor agreements. That is a key issue. And then number two, the government signs agreements and even varies those agreements in secrecies. And this has angered teachers. And more often, when we point out some of these issues, government still buys time and takes us round. And we've even accepted as a union to come into amicable agreements in several times and even signed agreements. And those agreements are never honored. I want to tell you that even since 1962, anything, any pay, any benefit that has gone to teachers has been through a strike, even including the maternity leave for teachers. So we know too well as teachers that if we must get anything on the table, then definitely we must go through a strike. I don't remember any benefit that has come to teachers without going through a strike, even including the creation of one employer. And you know too well, during the rewriting of the constitution of this country, the leadership of this country, the members of parliament and the rest, would have wanted to see Teacher Service Commission disbanded. It took our efforts to struggle. So basically, teachers have been a struggling lot for the last several years. And as a union, since 1957, we are now 56 years old, we know too well that anything good to come to the lives of teachers and also for the education sector to move, we have to achieve it through a strike. That is the inevitable fact. But as for the issue at the moment, what we are contesting as a union is a collective bargaining agreement validly entered between us and government in 1997. And it has been an issue of contention over the years. We have contested it through strikes, and the Kibaki administration, in its first 5 years, cleared with the salaries. That is why during the tenure of Professor George Saitoti as a minister, there were no strikes, because that was a period when government committed itself. And by the way, it was a campaign promise by Kibaki in 2002 that within 100 days, the teachers will be paid all their money, which never was. But nevertheless, we settled and said, yes, let's accept and accommodate the state of the economy and have it spread over a certain period of time. So within 5 years, Kibaki administration was able to clear the basic salaries. That left the allowances pending. 5 components of allowances. The house allowance at 50%, hardship allowance at 30%, medical allowance at 20%, and commute allowance at 10%. We have contested in the previous strikes, save for the strike of 2011, which was completely different. It was a strike to have the contract teachers converted to permanent and pensionable so that they can be motivated. But last year, you know too well, we were on strike contesting the same. And while on strike, we discovered that in 2003, without our knowledge, government gazetted a legal notice number 16 that varied all the components of allowances, but technically or by sheer luck, there were two allowances which were not touched: the hardship allowance and special duty allowance. So last year, before calling off the strike, we agreed with the government that those two components must be reinstated. And true enough, they were reinstated. That was one of the conditions of coming back to work, and all the salaries be realigned with the civil servants at that time, because the allowances were pegged on basic salaries. So we had to correct the basic salaries first. The government contested the legality of existence of legal notice number 16, and during the period of the strike, we found it very prudent to put up a public petition to Parliament, because there are three routes that you can degazette a legal notice. Either the minister can unilaterally degazette through a cabinet directive, or through a court of law, or through the National Assembly. And the best option, the people's option, an option that we thought could give us justice, was through Parliament. And we knew it was going to take a long process, and we entered into an agreement with the government through the Teacher Service Commission that we allow this contested legal notice number 16 to be disposed of, examined, investigated by Parliament. We put up a petition through Honorable Martha Karua, which was referred to the Delegated Legislation Committee of the National Assembly. And we signed an agreement on the 24th of September that the ruling by the Delegated Committee on Legislation shall be binding to both parties. So if it were ruled against us, then so we would have left the matter to rest. And if it were ruled against the Teacher Service Commission and the government, by extension, then they're obligated to honor it. We were invited by the Committee of Delegated Legislation. And by the way, this is a process that is guided by the standing orders of Parliament. And within 21 days of tabling, the Minister for Education for the time being had all the time to give a submission or even make a statement in Parliament, which he did not, the Honorable Mutula, the late. And we appeared, we contested, because all salary negotiations in the Repeal Teacher Service Commission Act could only be done under Section 13 and Section 14 by the Teacher Service Remuneration Committee. And the Teacher Service Remuneration Committee, which existed and which did business for the last time, was done in 1997 and was chaired by the late Dr. Taita Toet. So the origin of legal notice number 16 should have originated from a properly constituted. It was not there.
Has it been scrapped now, or it has not?
Legal notice number 16, it has not been scrapped. I'm giving you the ruling of the Delegated Committee on Legislation, because that was our commitment.
Yes.
The government did not appear, the Minister for Education did not appear, we appeared, and a ruling was given, a detailed report, and tabled on the floor of the National Assembly on the 3rd of January by the Honorable Kiema Kilonzo, which nullified and found the legal notice number 16 as illegitimate and illegal and existing illegally, and it was introduced in an illegal means. And therefore, the report recommended to the minister to degazette legal notice number 16, which when we wrote to
which has not been done.
It was not done.
It has not been done.
And it has not been done. And that now is not our problem, because we signed an agreement that both parties shall respect the ruling of the Delegated Committee on Legislation. So the ruling is in our favor. And we do not understand why now government is buying time. And that informs why we contested and we called for a strike in February to force the government to get rid of legal notice number 16 so that it can allow the budgetary process to accommodate our wishes as contained in legal notice number 16. That never was, and that was never done.
Of course, you've given us the details of the genesis.
Yes. Yeah.
We are celebrating our Jubilee year under a totally different administration. It's the first administration elected under a new constitution. Recently you said all governments are the same, they never listen, they wait for a crisis, and if that is what they need, we will definitely give them in style.
Indeed.
You don't believe that this government can sort out your needs?
Indeed. You see, a government is a government. We got a government during independence, and there are never dead moments. The moment we attained internal self-governance in 1963, and this country became independent, the government is an institution. What changes are individuals. And even so, the individuals in the Jubilee government were in the last government. And they were even in the last National Assembly. And even the reports we're discussing about, I believe as members of parliament, they were aware about it. And in any case, when you look at the flagship programs, you see, when you take governance of an institution or a country or anything, you do a very quick situation analysis. You know the problems that exist, and you prioritize. You don't pump in new programs. So when you look at it, this is a country. The government is one. It's an institution. It's continuing. It's in a continuum. So there is no excuse that individuals in government are new. The government of Kenya is one and the same, and it continues throughout. Therefore, the current government is obligated to address the matters that exist in the education sector. It doesn't have to behave like it's a government that is coming from the moon. It's a government that we got in 1963, and therefore it must address the issues that exist in the sector right, and it must also consult effectively. If you want to succeed in any policy and in management of institutions, can you work with the stakeholders of the sector? Here we are as teachers, and we are ready as teachers to work with any government of the day, now and in future. This is the government of the day, and we shall face them with our issues. And now, we are looking at the new government. They've come up with a number of flagships, and it's normal with all governments. Kibaki did it with the free primary. But I can tell you, the free primary was an issue of Kenya National Union of Teachers. It's only that Kibaki customized it and took it as a good policy, and he said, I will do it. And when he came to power, he said, yes, I will do it. Let all children go to school, and we shall pay teachers. True enough, he paid teachers, and he brought in a new program. And that is why teachers were enthusiastic to implement that program. Because here is a man who has come from nowhere and is ready to listen to the teachers and look at the welfare of the learners and the welfare of the sector. That is why we support it. But for this one now, you've seen the laptops.
Yeah, the laptops. Yeah.
The laptops is a big issue to us. It has never been a problem to the sector. It's not even a priority. And we have never, if you look at the records in government and even in the ministry, we have never raised it as a problem whatsoever at any time. It's an ambitious program that that is not in touch with the stakeholders. And look at what it's consuming. 53 billion. But what we are talking about as teachers is a figure between 41 and 47 billion to sort out the restlessness of teachers once and for all and forever. So that if we can get a way of avoiding strikes now and in future, we have more professional things and better things to do as a union to boost the quality education in this country. We are talking about severe shortage of teachers in this country, and which is now standing at 150,000. Why 150? ECD, all the children totaling 3 million in this country. And the Constitution is very clear in Section 53B that education, basic education shall be a right. That even includes nursery school. These children require 70,000 teachers. And the shortage in public schools is almost hitting 100,000. That is a total of 170,000 teacher shortage. We submitted 6 items during the budget making process. That government, 1, clear allowances. 2, employ 40,000 teachers by setting aside 15 billion shillings. 15 billion shillings is modest. And looking now at the laptops, 53 billion to buy laptops for hungry children. Children who don't have basic skills in reading and writing. We are still, they still deserve to be taught reading and writing skills. These are missed priorities. And if we allow this as teachers, if we don't raise it now before it is done, then we shall have done a disservice to this country.
So
by and large, and on priority basis,
absolutely.
Number one,
yeah,
make the teacher comfortable. Then number two, raise the teacher numbers. Number three, regular promotion of teachers. And then number four, employ ECD teachers. Kenya, it's time for Kenya to employ ECD teachers. Nigeria is done. If you go to Nigeria, all ECD centers have got
early childhood education.
Yes, early childhood education. And these are the most vulnerable children. Imagine 3 million children in this country without teachers. And the constitution is very clear. It is government to provide sufficient teachers. So then how free is education if we've got youngsters in this country going to school without provision of teachers? These are missed priorities. And Jubilee government, if it wants to deliver even up to the laptops, let them consult us. Put the resources on the table, and then we prioritize on priority basis. And this government will deliver effectively in 5 years. But if it does what it is doing, rolling out programs without proper consultation, because we do not know whom they consult. Who was consulted before the laptop program was rolled out? We have asked at the Ministry of Education, and we cannot get an answer. We have asked at Kenya Institute of Curriculum and Development. Yes, they've developed e-learning curriculum, but we've not found an answer. So really, we are questioning who is this pushing these laptop programs. But for now, we are saying, yes, laptop program is good, but it's not a priority at the moment. Sort out the salient and urgent issues so that we can have peace in the sector as a union.
Now, just basically looking at the solutions, the way forward, Education Cabinet Secretary Jacob Kaimeni has said the government will go out of its way to sort out your problems. Of course, he didn't give a word in terms of employment of the 80,000 teachers. You don't take his word to the bank?
We've dealt with cabinet ministers since independence. And more often, the cabinet ministers do not have answers. It's basically...
But this is a different regime.
No, it's the same. Governments are the same. The working systems are the same. The style is the same. The cabinet secretary is a spokesman of government. There are the bureaucrats behind the scenes, the treasury, and of course, I don't need to talk about beyond there. But for us, as a union, we deal with the cabinet secretary. We've dealt with cabinet ministers in the past, and very often they have no answers for us.
But they are not the same. I mean, why would you not want to trust Professor Kaimeni?
These are the same ones that we've had from other cabinet ministers in the past. But for now, we are giving them time. That is why we have not called our strike right now. We haven't. But we are preparing our members. And for government, even an hour is critical. And any management system in the world, 5 minutes is critical. To take decisions in 5 minutes can mean a lot in life. So the window of opportunity is still with government before Kenya National Union of Teachers calls out all the teachers in this country out for a strike.
Suppose the government says, since we have no money, we have stressed resources, we have no money, and you go on strike.
No,
and the government
the issue of no money, for us, we live in this country, and we are teachers, and we rely on economic facts. Let's look at the economy of this country. It's operating a budget of 1.6 trillion, and in fact, the biggest in East Africa. That translates to $20 billion.
Education got the biggest share.
It did not. It did not. Let me tell you facts. The international standards, if you want to give children rights and if you want to offer quality education, is that any budgetary process must allocate not less than 32% of the national resources. Between 30 and 40%, you will be doing very well. And in fact, the Jubilee government committed that by 2018, it will commit the national resources at 32%. What was given to education is insignificant. It is 15%. I'm wondering how Jubilee government will bridge the gap between 15% and 32% by the year 2018 if they still persistently deny the sector sufficient resources. It is all about allocation of resources. How many ministries have been allocated billions, which goes into West? And if we analyze, we have always analyzed the Kenyan budget annually and very critically as a union through our economic experts. And last year, the national economy, the national budget, at the end of it, there was a waste of 300 billion shillings. 300 billion. But if you look at, but what we're asking for is 50 billion to clear all these and leave us. And once we are given this, we want Kenyans to demand for value for what we are doing. And I would like to say, as Kenyan teachers, we love this country.
Suppose
and I would like to say this country...
Let me ask you this. Suppose you go on strike, whichever day you call the strike, and the government says we have no money, and they ignore you. And it goes on like that.
No, then we are also prepared to stay for as long as they ignore us. If there is any government that ignores the citizenship, then it automatically loses legitimacy. That's a fact for sure. We know.
But because we are
not going on strike for fun. We are not going for strike for fun. And we don't enjoy strike. And any trade union must avoid a strike as much as possible. And that is what we are doing as a union. We are exercising a lot of restraint. And we are telling government exactly...
The government may ignore you and cancel your salaries. So teachers there in the villages, then they have no money, so they get tired. They say, start walking back to school.
No, we have the best strategies. Let me tell you.
It is possible.
If government is thinking about teachers burning out, is what we call burning out.
Yes.
During a strike, burning out. Then
does the union have money to sustain the teachers?
The union, the Kenya National Union of Teachers, has the capacity to manage a strike even for 3 months. This we have seen in the past. They've used all manner of tricks, including leaving us to... last year, it was difficult to end the teacher strike. Kenyan teachers are very resilient, especially when we call out a strike. They will not go back to class. That I can tell you for free. If government is waiting for us to call a strike so that teachers can get tired, then it is living in a fool's paradise. Now, they would rather address the issues. And I think any sensible government will always look at a strike positively. It will always try to resolve the issues raised. It has always been a question of give and take. But for this one, it is not a give and take this time around, because we are looking at it, it is simple. We don't want to come back again next year. We've been cheated severally. We don't want to come back the other year. We even don't want Kenyans to hear us calling a strike in future.
Absolutely.
What we want is government. We have seen 53 billion that has been ring-fenced. What we're asking for is between 41 and 47 billion. Give us all this money at once.
And that will be it.
That will be it.
We sorted out.
Then if they want to introduce laptops in the year 2015, that will be fine. But we'll tell them, if laptops are to be introduced, give them to university students. Every university student in Kenya, or in tertiary, or in teacher training college, or in certificate, get a laptop. That is when the laptops will be very useful. But then, if you want ICT at nursery level, primary level, secondary level, put up very good computer labs with good desktops. That will be a very effective and cheaper and quicker way of introducing ICT all through in the learning system. And I can tell you, by the year 2018, Jubilee government can be writing a very good story to the citizenship of this country if it gets things right. But what we are saying...
Let's listen to some of the viewers. There's a question here. Somebody is asking, Sossion, you look very bitter with Kupet. Don't you think you're portraying a lower level of reasoning, yet Kupet has members and they too deserve representation, and any gain from their gain will benefit all teachers, irrespective of union affiliation?
I'm not bitter with Kupet. I am passionate about the unity of the teachers of this country, because Kenya National Union of Teachers was formed by the early teachers during the colonial government, because there were many unions, and teachers accepted to dissolve the existing unions to form one union, one strong voice. And for me, I'm passionate with what our forefathers, those teachers who graduated from Makerere and many universities and who taught under difficult circumstances, to form one union. And that one voice has been very strong. I am against creation of alternative weak voices to weaken the teachers of this country. And therefore, I'm not against any teacher in this country. But I believe in one voice for the teachers of this country, because the employer is one, government is one. And we cannot be victims of divide and rule. Governments will get sophisticated with time, and teachers will lose out if they're divided. If we are talking about that particular union, NAT was formed by teachers at Pumwani DEB School through a directive in Parliament, a motion that said government of Kenya should help the teachers of Kenya to form one union. That is a motion, if we check the Hansards of the National Assembly. And we have been strong all through until 1998, in the middle of October. I was 4 years old in the teaching service, a teacher of chemistry in high school, myself, and Moi government created and registered a union when you were in the middle of the strike. Is a very clear memory. And the intention was to weaken the strong voice of Kenya National Union of Teachers, urging the young teachers of this country and the teachers of this country that it's better when we speak in one voice. This is not politics.
How many secondary school teachers belong to KNT?
The teachers who belong to Kenya National Union of
secondary
Teachers.
School teachers.
Yeah, secondary school teachers,
Yes.
because our union draws membership from teacher training colleges. We have almost all the tutors in teacher training colleges and tertiary institutions. And in secondary schools, the role of teachers in the payroll of TSC is about 75,000, and we have 40,000 as our members. And those majority of the teachers in secondary schools are in NAT. That is why there is no strike at the moment. Even if we give them a space of 1 month and a complete black check to that particular union to proceed, it will not get anywhere, because we have a huge number of membership in secondary schools, a huge number of membership in tertiary institutions, and all the teachers in primary schools. So really, we must get facts right for the teachers of this country. And if that group is very serious, then the Labor Relations Act allows them under Section 25 to dissolve themselves and cross over and march with us. They should look at the elements of unifications for purposes that has been done in the past. So really, I am not bitter. I'm only passionate about the unity of the teachers of this country. That's what I believe in. And by the way, I'm a high school teacher. Why would I be bitter with my colleagues? And the group of leaders in this particular union, I must say, because this is a time to speak facts.
Yeah.
These are guys who lost elections in NAT elections at the branches without experience of leading even any branch. And really, we are talking about serious matters here. We are talking about serious professional issues. So you must rise through the ranks and through the test. I did it myself. I was not appointed national chairman NAT. I was elected. And I was elected right from the grassroots. And I've gone through elections and through many offices, even as a high school teacher. And therefore, I don't see any purpose of forming small groups that are very ineffective. Even right now, I've not seen any strike anywhere in Kenya because of that small group. But I'm telling you, and I can tell you for free, if today, and we have got only 12 hours to our strike, it's only that we are holding back. We are holding back for certain logistical reasons and for certain strategic facts. And we want Kenyans, parents, to be psychologically prepared. We want the head teachers from Mombasa. You see, the head teachers are in Mombasa, and you're calling a strike. What if schools are burned down? Who is going to compensate and rebuild those schools? We've got to be sober the way we handle strikes. And we do it in a very procedural and acceptable manner. We are waiting for the head teachers to finish their conference in Mombasa so that they can go and take care of the school property together with the boards of governors and guarantee the safety of the children. So that after a strike, we want to get back, get our facilities, family in place, get our children very safe and continue working. So we have all that experience, and I'm not bitter.
There was another issue that was raised by the PTA chairman, Nathan Baraza, back in April. He said it's quite premature to call for a strike because the new TSC has not yet been put on board.
Let me tell you, some of these individuals, because we've got to face facts. I am a national chairman of Kenya National Union of Teachers, elected validly through votes and registered by the Registrar of Trade Unions. Who elected Nathan Barasa? I'm also a parent, and I'm not aware where these elections were conducted. Let's be factual. Anybody speaking for anybody must prove to us where they got elected.
But there's the concern. He has a concern here about the Teacher Service Commission.
Now I'll get down to the argument. I'll get down to the arguments.
Yes.
These are individuals, we have evidence. Some of these busy groups, busybodies, and the NGOs, they're being used by government to undermine and to stop us. But those issues are off the mark. Barasa should be at the forefront demanding for more teachers. It should not be the union doing it. But has he done it? That business has been left to us. Barasa should be at the forefront on behalf of parents demanding for quality teachers.
Now he's raising an issue about the Teacher Service Commission. Is that a credible issue that would stop the strike?
It is not. Teacher Service Commission is a constitutional commission. It's a body that exists. It functions on daily basis. Even if you go to TSC now, it is operational. It's a government agency. So that does not stop. Does it mean if we take Paraza's argument or any other person's argument, then it means teachers should take leave because there is no commission? Are we being told that the employer is not functioning? It is functioning. If we go to TSC now, business is going on. Programs are being done. Managed issues are running. So Barasa is a stranger in this business. And I think he's a total stranger even in the education sector. And this is what we are appealing. Anybody who wants to raise a voice on behalf of a certain group must prove that he has the legitimate voice of that particular group through an election. And that's the position we have taken as a union. We won't deal anymore with anybody who is not legitimately elected by a majority of a particular group. Now, this is how to
what is the justification for calling the strike at this particular time, this moment?
We've built a case. Yes. We've built a case over time. There is no defined time for workers to call a strike. There has never been. The moment you are aggrieved, you raise your issues, and you raise procedurally. You must have a meeting with the employer. We have had meetings with the employer. Last year, after the strike, before the strike, and even in February, you're all aware. For us to call off the strike, which could have started in February, we had to sign an agreement with the late Mutula Kilonzo, who accepted that the legal notice must be degazetted, and TSC was to initiate the process. And the Education Secretary, on behalf of the ministry, signed. Unfortunately, thereafter, the employer declined to sign out of circumstances we do not understand. And we met at the Ministry of Labour.
If the ministry, if the ministry agrees, who is the other employer now refusing?
The ministry agreed. The minister agreed.
Yes. Then who is the other? Who is the other person calling? TSC.
Those are the questions we are wondering. Some of these facts we kept them secretly because it was going to annoy teachers. And let me tell you, as a union, we try as much as possible to cool down the pressure of our teachers. We moved further to the Ministry of Labour and through a conciliation process. And we had a meeting for 35 days. And we were kind enough as a union, because the law does not allow conciliation to go beyond 28 days. But we were kind enough, Teacher Service Commission asked for more time to consult, and we allowed 7 more days. And even thereafter, Teacher Service Commission kept changing position. And we secured what we call a certificate of disagreement. Certificate of disagreement under Section 73 of the Labour Relations Act permits us as a union to invoke Section 76 of the Labour Relations Act. And Labour Relations Act in Section 76 allows us to go for a protected strike. So the strike that NAT shall call any moment from now, and we are preparing all our teachers in the country, both psychologically, financially, and we are telling them, can you utilize your June salaries very well, pay your rent for 2 months, and prepare yourself, because the strike can take a long time. It shall be protected. TSC shall not even go to the industrial court the way it has always done. We are wondering why it has not gone to the industrial court for other groups. It doesn't, because some programs are done by government. But for us, this one will be a protected strike.
There's a concern here. Back in April, you backed MP's salary demand of 851,000.
Indeed, I did.
Absolutely. Was that a strategy so that this time round they would support you?
It is conscience. It is history. Because Kenya National Union of Teachers participated in the Justice Akilamo Akiwumi review of packs of members of parliament. And we are a signatory to that report. And we appreciate the challenges and the difficulties of what members of parliament go through in their duties. And also, it is illegal. This is where I share a cup of tea with Francis Atwoli. He has been condemned left, right, and center, but Atwoli is right. You cannot reduce. If you add anybody's salaries by accident, even if you pay 5 million, it will be immoral and illegal under international labor standards to reduce it. And then number two, I'm doing it with a full conscience that this is an institution that symbolizes freedom of the citizens of this country, the National Assembly. And if we make our leaders poor, then they will be victims of the executive. And that will be dangerous. In my own view, it is within the rights of the members of parliament to get their previous salaries. Let me put the record straight. I was not agitating for addition of salaries for members of parliament. I was agitating for maintenance of the status quo. And that is a position of the union. That's a position of teachers. But members, and by the way, a huge number of the members of parliament are also teachers. And therefore, I must also defend their interest and the interest of the country, interest of the people, and the truth. I was standing for the truth. The civil societies that have been gathering in parliament and taking pics, that is a very uncivil way, why are they not out to agitate for teachers? This country should free itself from civil society groups. These are individuals who are driven by we would like a civil society that is homegrown and that embodies the wishes of the people, the wishes of the public.
These are Kenyans.
No,
Okiya Mtata is a Kenyan.
Yeah, Okiya Mtata is a Kenyan. I respect him, is my friend.
Yes.
And all the rest. But you look at who are working with them, you could see some few foreigners. So these are individuals who are financed by foreigners. And it's a dangerous trend. Tell the people the truth and the country will be safe. And we would like to see civil societies that does things that are acceptable. So as for the issue of the members of parliament, it is a decision of the union because we participated in generation of their benefits. And we did benchmark studies through that commission of what other parliaments, how members of parliament enjoy their benefits all over the world. In countries where members of parliament earn very low salaries, the government services are so efficient, completely free medical care, completely free education. If you look at Malaysia, for example, parents don't raise even a single cent to build a school. It is done by the state in totality. And when you're building a school, you factor many things, including the stadiums, the fields, the swimming pools, the ICT labs, and everything. And it is fully financed by the government. So the member of parliament is left only for representation. But in Kenya, the members of parliament must take responsibility of building schools, responsibility of building dips, responsibility of defraying medical bills, and to a very large extent, most of them end up hiding in Nairobi. And that is a challenge because we look at a member of parliament as a source of income. And this is a reality and a fact that you cannot run away from very soon. So that was the reason for my contest. It was not with any selfish nature or motive at all. And we did not meet with any members of parliament.
Are you saying that in our society, only members of parliament contribute to community development? When I go home in my village, on Saturday I see the fellows there coming. I'm not a member of parliament. I am not coming here to say, give me more salary because people will come to see me.
Mutegi first fact.
Yeah.
I want you to accompany any member of parliament to the rural constituency and see what happens. I'm in an elected office. I represent teachers. But whenever I go down to the community, because we participate in several community activities, even as a union, I look at the level of dependency. It's so high. It's extremely
It doesn't
high.
only affect MPs.
And
It does not only affect MPs, it affects everybody.
It affects MPs heavily because they are elected. And there is a social attitude that we cannot run away from. That as long as you have a member of parliament, he is supposed to provide everything, provide jobs, participate in all manner of fundraisings. By the way, fundraisings are alive in Kenya, and it is so huge, and that is the reality of the fact. And you must live to this. If you wake up one morning and there are 3 orphans in your house, and you have to pay fees, what do you have to do? You can't chase them away. You pay fees. Personally, I pay close to 300,000 shillings every term for school fees for children who are vulnerable, and that I cannot avoid. I did not invite. They came, and
Because
you see, we must do it.
Because you
Now,
have the money.
Look
if
at
you didn't have the money, you wouldn't pay.
Look at it. And then a member of parliament.
You have the 300,000.
And the member of parliament, the same thing. So these are facts, these are realities we cannot run away from, because the member of parliament is still the elected representative of the people. And as the elected representative of the people, he must shoulder all those problems. That was our thinking. And by the way, the fundamental fact is that we participated in the formulation of the same.
Okay.
And it was wrong for the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to come and consolidate the total package of salaries of members of parliament in the previous parliament, divided by the current number to arrive at that figure. And previously, what you are against as a union is members of parliament not paying taxes. Let them be given the previous salaries, but they must pay taxes. Everybody must pay taxes to the state. That's what we believe in.
Now they are getting 1.1 million. Is that what you like?
And it must be taxed. It must be taxed.
Right.
At the end of the day, the benefits and compensations of the members of parliament will still circulate within needy and issues
Do
the
you think parliament should determine their own salaries? Because that's what they have done. That's what they're intending to do.
I think it was even a mistake to have a Salaries and Remuneration Commission, because its roles, its jurisdiction were not properly guided. And now that we have it, it must be tailored to work properly, because you can see all over the place, people are opposing the way it is working. Right now, even in our own sector, even in our own sector, Kenyans support it out of ignorance. I'm one of the Kenyans, and I must see for Kenyans, the job analysis of the members of parliament was not done right. That's a fact for sure.
You ask a consultant.
Mathematics.
It was done by a consultant.
No. Consultant. You take simple mathematics. Where consultations were done, it cannot give us mathematics which are very simple. Even a standard 1 child will know that you have consolidated all the salaries divided by the current members of parliament. Where is the job analysis that was done? It contradicts even with the Akiumi report, which you are private to. And for us, we would like the truth to be done. We would like to see Salaries and Remuneration Commission doing proper job evaluation and job differentials, and giving us and even participating effectively in dispute resolution. That is one of the responsibilities it has to do. And part of it has been transferred from the Ministry of Labour. We have not seen it doing effectively. We respect SRC.
As we wind up, according to the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary, Henry Rotich, he said the Salaries and Remuneration Commission is expected to have a say in determining allowances for teachers.
The Treasury is trying to use the SRC as a shield. I want to put the record straight for the Cabinet Secretary, and I hope he's listening. The chairperson, SRC, a very efficient woman, who given a chance can make a difference if she does the right things. You know, once you're given an office, you do what is right. Sarah Serem wrote a circular to all employers, to government, and even to trade unions, that Salaries and Remuneration Commission has no jurisdiction and no role on the previous CBS. And therefore, consequently, that circular instructed the employers and trade unions to dispose of the previous CBAs before the end of June 2013. The end of June 2013 is 30th. It's in the next few days. That is a circular. And I'm not sure whether Rotich is aware about that. If he is aware, then the language is simple. He must avail money to clear all the other CBS before the Salaries and Remuneration Commission comes in to advise. And by the way, for public servants and all other workers, including ourselves, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission has only a duty of advising. And advising in simple English is not determining. And an advice, you can take it or leave it. So we know our labor rights, and the Treasury cannot hide and use SRC as a shield. It is going to cause endless strikes in this country. So it must live up to the truth. And we were very flexible. We said, yes, government, you may not raise all the money, but you see, do this, commit yourself to clear this CBA, and outline to us how you are going to clear it. But if that is the signal that is coming from the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury, my brother Rotich, then he can be sure he's going to face a strike. And he must look for money. Once we commence a strike, we will not negotiate anything. Even right now, we have had instruction from government telling us to go and negotiate with the Teacher Service Commission. What are we negotiating? We have negotiated over the years, signed agreements. It is simple. That directive should be given to the Treasury to avail money and avail enough money. That is how these disputes are going to end.
There's a public demand here. Nashera Kodawa from Nairobi says, can Sossion say something about the pension of teachers who retired in 1997? Nat has always forgotten.
Bigger issue. We've not forgotten. We were the Teacher Service Commission 3 weeks ago, and we held a long meeting with the Commission, and following the ruling, the court ruling in Nakuru. That still is linked to legal notice number 534 of 1997. Some of these retirees have died, and some are growing old, and some cartels are exploiting them. That has been our concern, and the ruling has been given. And we had a meeting with the Treasury, we've had a meeting with the Teacher Service Commission, and we have told government to take the legal liability. And so that the liability of the court case is not transferred to the teachers, and that Teacher Service Commission must process the files as quickly as possible. By the last 2 weeks, about 19,000 files had been submitted to the Director of Pension. And we would expect all the files to have been submitted within the next 1 week. And you are all aware also that a court has ruled that this payment, has ordered once more, that this payment must be done within 60 days from around 15th of June. So really for us, we are law abiding. We are following the process of the files to make sure that it is done and these teachers are paid. We are asking government to stop keeping the 6 billion that had been set aside. Pay the 6 billion to these retirees. And we will do proper actuarial calculations, because what is required is 33 billion. This is another contentious issue. Once we are done with allowances of the teachers in service, we will come back to the pensions of the teachers who have retired, because the teachers in retirement who have been our members, and of course, this is an agreement that was signed with us, is an agreement of Kenya National Union of Teachers. Then we shall move to ensure that these teachers also get their right.
All right, many thanks indeed. Thank you so much indeed for joining us here on the Power Breakfast Show. We'll be right back.